Numbers. Boxing numbers. What are boxing numbers? You're in a boxing class. Coach yells out numbers. Everyone moves like synchronized swimmers, while you're standing there like a confused penguin. Just me? Well, that was me last week. Don't worry, I didn't know what numbers meant either. Turns out boxing has its own secret number language, like a Morse code. And today, we're talking about the boxing punch numbers and common mistakes. This and more in the ring. Warning. The following video features a 14-year-old boxing enthusiast who thought switching himself after just 5 months with a stroke of genius. After doing inspired boxing, I never played any organized sports or what some consider a non-athletic regular person, a gamer. Expect mistakes, occasional self-inflicted punches, and thought that may cause dizziness. Proceed with caution and a sense of humor. No egos were harmed in making of this video. So here are the 6 basic punch numbers. 1 is the jab, 2 is the right cross, 3 is the left hook, 4 is the right hook, 5 is the left uppercut, and 6 is the right uppercut. And if you're a southpaw like me, just flip it. See? Easy as pie. Or at least easier than understanding why flammable and inflammable mean the same thing. Speaking of catching fire, let's go into a recent drill I did where these boxing numbers came in handy and how I make mistakes and look like a baby giraffe taking its first steps while punching. Okay, so today you'll get to see a total of 5 drills. What makes all of these drills super hard for me was trying to combine the punches I normally don't throw. I don't normally make all of these movements, and it's slightly harder when trying to make sure you don't get punched by other boxers. More of that later. By the last drill, you'll get to see the entire boxing combination. I'll pull up the numbers that we just covered so you'll get to see it all in a bit when the angle changes, meaning we move forward and back and turn. However, instead we didn't use those numbers and we just moved back and forward. Now, I think the coach wanted us to be like synchronized swimmers, but you'll see it in a bit, it's kinda super messy. Now I'm speeding this part up, I'll slow down parts where I do stuff that is good and I do stuff that is bad. Like this first one. I step forward and duck under a rope to control my head level, then step back. Now at first I'm not sure how this helps, but coach always says the feet goes and the hands follow. Then I realized moving the head or doing what boxers do called level changes helps me to not get hit. And if you watch my other sparring videos, you'll see that I don't do this movement well. So it's more challenging than anything. However, the good news is that I eventually figured out how to duck under this rope without clotheslining myself. And it only took me 3 tries. Now bad news was that I was staring at the floor like it owed me money. Here's a pro tip for you. The floor isn't going to throw a punch at you, so always try to look forward. Also, my back foot had the stability of a baby giraffe. Balance? Never heard of her. Alright, next up we add some punches, or as I like to call it, Advanced Confusion 101. After ducking under the rope, I throw a 1-2, that's a jab and a cross. The 1 is your jab, your quickest punch, and the 2 is your cross, where you hope to not cross into your opponent's fist. That was a really bad joke. Alright, now right here, I'm showing you these 2 parts because I'll tell you why I'm messing up this really bad. Oh yeah, before I forget, just know that I'm in a group class here, which means everyone is at a different skill level. When I first started, I was embarrassed too. I mean, who wouldn't be when you're surrounding yourself with people who punch like they're in a Rocky montage, while you're over here inventing new ways to trip over your own shoelaces. Now here's the thing with boxing. Everyone starts somewhere. Don't let embarrassment hold you back. If I can laugh at myself and keep going, so can you. Alright, now right here, I managed to get through without a nap break. Small victories, but let's address the elephant in the room. My hip rotation on the 2 was practically non-existent. Throwing a cross without hip rotation is like trying to throw a frisbee without moving your wrist. You look silly and it doesn't go far. And yes, I felt unbalanced. I felt like a tightrope walker with vertigo. But hey, at least I didn't fall. This time. Alright, now let's crank up the confusion, aka complexity. Now we repeat the 1-2 but add a pivot after the 2. Specifically a lead leg pivot at 90 degrees, also known as an open pivot. Then I throw another 2, go under the rope and throw a 4, which is the rear hook, under again to throw a 3, the lead hook, re-pivot back and step back. Got all that? Because I sure didn't at first. Now think of the pivot like turning to exit a room gracefully, except I usually end up looking like I'm avoiding a bee. I got through the drill, and let's be honest, my hip rotation on the 2 was still missing in action. In balance? Well, let's just say my tightrope walking isn't my future. So I'm doing some drills on my own to make sure I can do. Now if you want to know what that's like, leave me a comment with something like hip drills and I'll know. Last but not least, we'll add more moves to the combo. After the initial sequence, I step forward with a 2, then throw a 3 and a 4. It's like building a Lego tower. Keep stacking pieces and hope it doesn't collapse. Now starting slow is key here. Think of it like learning how to play the piano. You don't start with Beethoven's 5th Symphony. You start with Mary Had a Little Lamb and work your way up. I get told a lot that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, but I mess up a lot. Understanding these punch numbers has been a game changer for me, even if I still occasionally forget which number is which. It speeds up learning and helps me follow along in class when I feel like a deer in the headlights. So if you're new like me, don't be embarrassed, embrace the confusion, laugh at your mistakes, and keep punching. Just maybe not yourself. Learning boxing is like trying to rub your head and pat your belly at the same time. It feels weird at first, but with practice it becomes second nature, or so they tell me. Stay tuned for my next videos where I give more commentary on the sparring and the drills that I do. I'll probably find new ways to confuse my left and right, or maybe, just maybe, some real improvement. Oh, and one last thing, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Special shoutouts to Fight Camp and the video labeled Basic Boxing Punch Numbers Explained. The guy explained it very eloquently. Make sure to give them a subscribe. And speaking of subscribing, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Anyway, that's about it for today, everybody. I'm Kobe Gaza. Please subscribe once again, and I hope you have a great day.